And welcome back to another review of fasting as we talk about how to prepare for a fast, how to successfully get through a fast, and then of course, how to break a fast. If you've ever wondered, hey, what is fasting? How does it work? How is it involved in my metabolism? Then this is the show for you, and I'm so excited that you're here. If you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Whatever platform you're joining us from, whether that's LinkedIn or Twitch or YouTube, and of course on Facebook, we welcome you to our show. Welcome you to this space. Go ahead and drop in the comments where you are joining us from, because we want to welcome you and give you a shout out from wherever you're tuning in. If you're watching a replay, go ahead and drop that in the comment as well, so we know where you are. I know we've got folks in North Korea, South Korea. We've got folks in the Netherlands. We've got folks in England. We've got people around the United States, of course, Ohio, Nebraska, New York, Florida, California. We've got folks in Nashville, and of course here in the state where I live, in Alabama. And we just are excited for wherever you are. If you fasted with us this week, we want you to also put yes in the comments. Put a yes in the comments so that we can give you a shout out. A special welcome to all of you who are here because you heard our content on either your doctor's office or in your church or in some of your community center. We're glad that you're here. Special shout out to Atlanta Berean in Atlanta, Georgia, and Riverside Chapel in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to our space and welcome to this program today. When you come, if you're new, go ahead and drop new, because I want to give you a hand clap and some music to let you know that we are excited that you are here. If you have questions, go ahead and put the question into the chat and make sure you put a Q in front of it so we know that that's a question for us to get to. So we are excited because we are about to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is the subject of fasting and how fasting works in the body, how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, how to end the fast, and to put that in context of our metabolism. Remember, dysfunctional metabolism is where we find our issues, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a little while. We'll come back and we'll get to that. So as we talk about fasting, we do a fast every week in our community, and as you guys know, we start our fast on Tuesdays, end our fast on Fridays. A lot of our community members have been fasting with us. As a matter of fact, I see people putting yes in the comments right now to say yes that they have been fasting. And people are fasting. We recommend at least a 24-hour fast, and people have been fasting with us 24 hours. As a matter of fact, we have one of our community members that went for a 7-day fast recently and saw some amazing benefits in terms of her metabolism. So shout out to you for taking charge. And so fasting is one of those fascinating things. We'll come back and talk more about that. Let's go ahead and talk about where we are today. And so I mentioned last night in our check-in that I was about to cook, and we were at 56 hours. And so I cooked last night, and I tasted the food that I made. Yeah, you put my hands up. I was making some jerk chicken, and so tasted it. And so when you see, we'll talk more about that here in just a minute. So we do a fast into a 72-hour fast once a week. This week the fast was 62 hours when I tasted the food. That was this morning sometime as I was cooking. And so you'll get to see what I'm eating. What would be my break the fast meal, which we'll show you here as we go through the rest of the show. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's take a look, and I've got some things I'm going to show you. I've got my monitors off to the side, so we'll see what my blood sugars are, see what my ketones are. You have my Dexcom Clarity Report down below. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll hop into our discussion as we talk about fasting and what fasting does. So right now, let's take a look at what this is my Freestyle Libre that you're going to take a look at. Here we go. And so right now, my Freestyle Libre says that my blood sugar is 75. And down below here, if we scroll down, that is what my graph has been looking like. And so here, that's about 12 hours ago. We were 81. coming into the morning. This is about 4 or 5 o'clock, and right here is what I call the toothpaste effect, right? So we jumped up to 95, 97, 95, 96, 99, 98, and then started coming back down into the 90s, low 90s, low 90s, low 90s, into the 80s, and then to where we are right now into the 70s. Okay, so that's what the the freestyle is saying. On the freestyle, I can go here. I'm gonna look at my reports, look at my time and range, and this is a 7-day average. I'm trying to think of that word. This is a 7-day average, and so you'll see there I'm in target 86% of the time. And you see 14% are lows, and that's usually when I'm fasting. Like we saw last night during our show, that my blood sugars were in the 60s. And so during that time, when I'm in the 60s, that adds up to the time that it takes away from time in range, because it doesn't count being in, it doesn't count lows as being in range, because the range is 70 to 180. And so if I combine the total time that I'm 70 to 180, and also the time that I am in the low portion, then I get the 100%. Okay. If I look at 90-day average, you'll see there that I'm in target 87% of the time with 13% lows. And then let's get out of that one and let's look at average blood sugar. And this gives me the average that my blood sugar is during the day. This is a 7-day average, and you'll see there it's been running 89s, 90s, right, 85. The highest there is a 94. If I look at a 90-day average, you'll see that is the total average right up here in this line, right there. And then this is the average broken out by the times of the day. And let's see, 88, 89, 93, 92, 86, 87. So we usually tell people we want their average blood sugar to be between 100 to 120. And so these are actually better than that. And there's a whole conversation we can have about. Well, let's make a comment here. When we talk about fasting, when you are on medication, and we made this point last night as we talked about finishing strong and being safe. If you're on medication, the medication doesn't know that you're fasting, and so you want to make sure that you're adjusting medication so that it doesn't continue to drive blood sugars down at the same time you're fasting, which is also driving blood sugars down, and that can cause a little bit of an interesting scenario there. Okay, and so now let's go back here. So 74, and then let's look at my Dexcom Clarity, and my Dexcom says that my average blood sugar right here is 93. And then if I come down to the graph and begin putting my finger and scrolling through, you'll see I'm 78. You see what the numbers are. This is a 24-hour period. 70s, 80s. And as you know, the Dexcom is tends to be a little bit higher than the Libre. And so that's why you're seeing, like right now, where it's 180 or 120, the Libre probably would say that I'm in the 100, 101 or something like that. So this tends to be between 15 to 20 points higher, and up to 116, 113, and then scrolling back down to where we are right now into the 90s, right? And so that's what those numbers have been. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what my monitors are. Here's my Keto Mojo and my Contour, and let's go ahead and grab my container. I need a strip for the Contour, so we'll get that out. And then I need a strip for the ketones for the Keto Mojo. And then I also need a strip for blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And I need a Lancet. So let's go ahead and grab those out. And while I'm doing this, what do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So drop that in the chat. What do you think my ketones are going to be? And remember, so this was about 1 o'clock this morning. When I was what I was doing up at 1 o'clock, by the way, while I was cooking, and so we made some jerk chicken. We tasted that. So what do you think my ketones are going to be? How do you think that affected my ketones? All right, and let's go ahead and we're going to open up. This is the strip for the blood sugar, and there we go. And at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and open up this guy as well. Okay, here we are. And here's my Lancet. Get a finger, and let's get a finger stick right there. And let's see, that gave us a pretty brisk drop. Get that started, and then the contour. And we need one more drop, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep that going. So 80 is what the Keto Mojo says. The contour says I'm 81, and then if I go back here, right there is what the that's what the Dexcom says I am. So let's go ahead and take this one out, get the strip in, and go ahead and get those ketones going. And I see some people are dropping comments in there, or guesses in there. Let's see what that is. Here we are. All right, and so always great when I get a call during the show. All right, let's get rid of that. Here we go. All right, so let's go back here, and so my ketones. This we go. Oh, there we are. So ketones are 0.8. So still in ketosis, right? But not as high as we were yesterday. So 0.8 is what our ketones are. And as you know, when we talk about ketones, less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis. And then 1.5 or higher is therapeutic ketosis. So let's go ahead and let's pull this in to our Keto Mojo app. Let's go ahead and get that synced. And let's take a look at how the graphs changed based on the ketones. Okay, we're gonna take a look at that. So here we are. So finish. Okay, so let's take a look. So, and we're looking, actually, let me do this. Let's go back to this view. I think this will be better. Okay, so right here, we're looking at these two graphs, and the dashed turquoise line, that is what my ketones are. And then down below is what my glucose is, or the grayish or tan line that's heading down is the blood sugar, and the turquoise line that's heading up, that is our ketone. And so let's take a look here. So when we checked yesterday, we were, let's see, was that, actually, did it pull it over? Let's go back. There we go. I was like, that doesn't look like the right one. Okay, so when we checked, when we did our check-in last night, remember our ketones were up here at 1.4 with blood sugar down here at 65, and the ketones, and the blood sugar now is 80 when we just checked it, 81, and ketones now have gone down to 0.8. And so remember that ketones respond vigorously to insulin. So anytime insulin comes out because of carbs or whatever caused our blood sugar to go up, then the ketones actually go down in response to the elevation in blood sugar. And it's really not the elevation in blood sugar, it is the elevation in insulin that's caused by the blood sugar. And so you saw my blood sugar went from the 60s down here up to the 80s, 70s and 80s. And so ketones went from a 1.4 down to 0.8, right? So they go in opposite directions. And so that's a good point to be made there. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our, let's take a look at what's going on with my report. Here is my Dexcom Clarity Report, 14 days, average of 112. In target 100% of the time, according to this, over the last 14 days, with a glucose management indicator of 6.0. If I change this to a 90-day average, we'll see similar to what we saw on the report, 114 for 90 days, with my time in range 98%, range being 70 to 180, and my glucose management indicator being a 6.0. So this is what I would expect my A1C to approximate. This may not be exactly that, but it should be pretty close to that. A couple of weeks ago, we did a show where I actually showed my labs so that you can see what those are. We talked about what they meant and what we should be checking. Go back and watch that show. That was about 2 weeks ago. All right, and then let's take a look at what's going on with my daily numbers as we look through the graph. Let's go back, and we're going to start on Tuesday, which is where we started our fast. As you know, we started our fast after my meeting at work. And so blood sugar there about 125. And we're going to kind of trace that from that time into the fast, right? So we did a 33-hour check-out. We did a 56-hour check-in. And then we'll point out last night or early this morning when the jerk chicken happened. So here we are, 125, 128. And so this is now after eating. So we started, let's see, this is 1 o'clock. So here's now 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so 2 hours later, 3 hours later, 4 hours later, we're in the one teens. 5 hours later, we went up to 138 right there. So we're 5-6 hours after, right? So here we are. And so this is what we want. We want the blood sugars not to have a vigorous response to the food that we're eating. We'll make a point about that in a minute. And so coming into the next morning, down into the 90s, low 100s, piking up right there at 7 o'clock. That's our toothpaste. And then coming back down and down into the 80s, dipping down to 70s a little bit, and then coming back up. And then for the rest of that evening, staying in the 80s. Coming into the next morning, this is Thursday, right? Into the 80s and 90s, low 100s. And so right here, so 80s and 90s, and then right at the toothpaste effect, so we go up into the hundreds, and then we kind of coast into the 80s and 90s for the rest of the day, and then kind of just basically skimmed the 70s, went down just right there, just close to 70, and then kind of stayed right above 70. Okay, and so right here now we're at 48 hours. And here we are 56 hours when we did our check-in last night in the 80s. 56, 57, 58, 59. And then this morning, right, 60, 61, 62. And so right there, I want you to notice, right there is jerk chicken, tasting jerk chicken. And so once you notice, right, so 70s, 90s, and then that climbed up to 90s, 100s, 101, 104, back to the 90s, 110s. And this right here is the toothpaste effect on top of the jerk chicken right here, okay? So from 80s to 90s, add toothpaste, and now we go into the 100s. And this kind of coasted in the 100s for most of the rest of the morning, and then finally started coming back down, and into the 80s. And so this is where we are right now. Isn't that interesting how that blood sugar works? Okay. So that's what's been going on with blood sugars. Let's go ahead and let's say hello to our community members. I see you guys out there, so let's say hello, and then we'll get into our review of our fasting. And so Cornelia is saying hello, Dr. and LLG. What's up, Cornelia? Thank you for coming through. And Cornelia is saying yes, and so that means that she's fasting with us. Steve saying yes, that means he's fasting with us. Gion says, hi, Dr. and LLG. Hey, Gion, what's going on? She says she's awake. So lucky I'm awake, but from bed now. Yeah, glad that you're here. Gion is a far way away, and so she's hanging out with us anyway. Hi, sis. Hi, Steve. Hello, Gion and Cornelia. Hey, sis and Steve, I completed a 7-day fast this week. I didn't hydrate enough and experienced rapid heart rate. My blood sugar dropped to 49 and my ketones were 6.4. So we talked about Cornelia a little while ago. We did a shout out to her this week on our show. She said, I dressed it with coconut water and chicken broth, then resumed the fast for 24 more hours until completing the 8th day. So hands off to you. And so, we made some comments about fasting and making sure that your electrolytes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute. And Gion is guessing 2.5. It actually turned out to be 0.8, Gion. She said, by the end of the 8th day, my blood sugar was 75, my ketones were 3.4. I was within 3 pounds of my weight goal. Oh, Cornelia, hand clap. And Gion is saying, great job, Cornelia. Actually, let me do something here really quickly. Great job, Cornelia. And Steve says, my blurry vision sharpened, and I no longer need glasses to see my computer screen or TV clearly. Wow, come on, come on, come on. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Is it amazing when we have these amazing results in our bodies? Gion says, "Wow, I'm so proud of you. That's great, Cornelia." She said, "I also found out that I no longer have PCOS. There are other improvements, but these are the ones I wanted most." Oh man, come on, come on. And Cornelia says, "Thanks, thanks, Steve." 1.2, 1 and 2. I'm okay. I'm trying to think. So Cornelia did. Tell me about the 1 and 2. So Gian says, "Thanks for sharing." Thank you, sis. Praise God. Prayer for fasting, Dr. Woode, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, and everyone who shows up in this community. Thank you all for sharing your journey, encouragement, and support. Come on, Cornelia. That's it. That's it. That's it. And Steve says, "My ketones are 0.8 this morning, 2.0 now. We will go to the gym at 7 for our workout." Okay, great, great, great. And then Cornelia says 2.0 is even better. Awesome. Love it, love it. All right. So community, right? So we're having an amazing time here in the community. People are having lots of great success in their health journey, and that is precisely what we're looking for as we walk through this process of metabolic healing. And so we're not just also looking for those particular things. We're looking for long health and long life. Okay, so you hear me saying that all the time, and I started adding that a couple of weeks ago because we've been talking about a play your own game, right? Play your own game series that we've been in. And the reason that is important is because as we talk about that series, it's so easy for us to get fixated on that number. And the number is tremendously important. All those numbers that we talk about. It is not that they're not important, but we want to make sure that everyone understands that there are amazing benefits that we are looking for, and the numbers are just metrics and indicators that we're heading in that direction. And so the two things that we talk about, we want long life, and we want a healthy life. We want long, healthy life. And you hear me say often that we are the most important, the most valuable things we have are our time and our health. That's where that long, healthy life comes from, right? Time and our health. Because if we have time but we're not healthy, right? You're in pain, you can't move around, you lose connection with family, you can't hang out with people, right? So that's not good. And if you have health, but your time is short, then that's not good either, because it's great to have it, but okay, I'm gone tomorrow. So we want to make sure that we are having both of those, health and time. So long health and time. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump over and we're going to take a look at our, get into our discussion as we talk about what are those things that we're doing during the fast, what's happening in the fast, how is our body responding. Give me just a second here. What is going on in our body? How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast successfully? And what that looks like as we are talking about these important things that are going on in our metabolism. Remember, dysfunctional metabolism is the problem, and we want to make sure that we are fixing that. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's start having that discussion right now. All right. So when we talk about fasting, it's important to understand what we're doing and understand why we're doing what we're doing. So as we approach this, let me put some context. Our goal is, well, my goal. Let me tell you my goal, right? So here's my goal. I want you one day to be driving by and see me in a rocking chair, or see me hanging out, see me at the movies, see me with my family, see me with my wife, see us on vacation, see us at the grocery store, see us on the cruise, see us at the airport. I want you one day to be walking by and seeing me and my wife just enjoying ourselves and saying, man, look at those old people. And when I say old, I don't mean because we're all broken down, but look at them. Look at the joy that they're having, and look how joyous they are. And look how healthy they look as they're enjoying the stuff they're doing. I want my son, whatever he decides to do in his life, to be able to say, man, I had daddy for a long time. He was there for me. He was there to see me go through these various phases of my life. I want my wife to say, man, I'm so excited that we got a chance after all those years of the things that the time that we put into all of the stuff we were doing in terms of building the practice and in terms of our life and raising our son and all the things that we're pouring into life. I'm so excited we got a chance to now we're traveling, we're enjoying the benefits of all the stuff we did all these years. That's what I want. So when I think about those eventualities, when I think about that goal, my question is, how do I get there? Because having the goal is great. Having the vision is great. It's important to visualize. Right? Visualization is important. And I tell people, when you're visualizing, I want you to feel that thing. What does it smell like? Right? What does it smell like as you guys are on the trip? You're driving across country. You're on the cruise. You're getting ready to take that, whatever it is. What is the smell in the air? Is it cold? Is it cool? Is it warm? Is it loud? Is it bright? Is it colorful? Are you guys sitting on a beach somewhere? What does that look like? It's great to have that. But in order to get there, I got to have a plan. I've got to have a structured way of making sure that I am doing everything I possibly can do to get to that space. It's just like when you're saving money, you're going through your education, you're building a house, whatever it is. If it's going to be successful, there has to be a plan. You can't just show up on your property and say, we're building a house, and you run down to the store, buy some wood, buy some nails, and you start putting stuff up. You got to have a plan. You got to do some excavating, right? You've got to you've got to get some landscaping done. You've got to bring in some stuff to form a foundation. Are we having a crawl space, or are we going to have a slab? Whatever it is, right? All those things have to happen, and there has to be a plan. Because if there's not a plan, then things aren't successful, and we want to make sure that we are successful. And part of the plan that we have, the path that we're on, is the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. That's the functional health arm of Limitless Living, that says that we're not allowing anything, nothing from outside or nothing from inside, to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best selves, our best health, and our best plans. And as we talk about how we get there, the blueprint, if you will, the checklist, the guardrails that help to get us there, the safety parameters that help us to get there are given by the pillars of the health plan. And one of those is fasting, because fasting is a reset. Fasting says, there are some things right now that are not functioning well in my body. And I need those to get better so that I'm ready, I'm primed for all of the benefits that I'm now infusing. It's kind of like buying a house, one broken down house or old house that you got to fix up. You got to get in there and you got to start gutting some things. You got to start throwing some things away, throwing some things out so that you can now begin coming in and putting in the new thing. And that's what fasting does. Fasting decreases our weight. Fasting increases our insulin sensitivity. Fasting helps us to lower our blood sugar. Fasting helps clear our mind. Fasting helps us with autophagy. It helps us with cellular cleanup. There's so many benefits that go along with fasting. Amazing. And so why do we fast? We fast for those reasons and so much more that I have not even mentioned right here, right now. So fasting is a fundamental part of what we do. One of the questions I get asked often now is, how long are you going to fast? And when they ask how long, it's not like how many days. It's like, is this going to be like for the rest of your life? Are you going to fast? And you guys have been with me long enough to know that there are some weeks where I adjust the fast. Like if I'm traveling, I'll move my fast forward, right? So I normally fast on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Maybe I'll do it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday because we're getting ready to travel on Wednesday. Or when I have people who come into town, I end the fast early, right? So we had some friends who came into town year ago or so, and they wanted to meet on Friday morning for breakfast. Those are my guys, they're my boys. And guess what? Yeah, I ended the fast right before breakfast. It was supposed to end at 1 o'clock or whatever. I was like, come on, let's go, let's eat. So fasting is not a shackle. I want you to hear this. Fasting, it is not starvation. Fasting is the voluntary absence or abstention from food. It is me saying, there is this thing that I know that's beneficial for me, that will help me with my metabolism, and I'm going to implement it in my life. Not as a shackle, not as a jail, not as a room that I get locked into, not as a black box that gets chain tied around it, but I'm going to use it, and when I need it to change, I will change it. So right now, I fast for 72 hours. Well, I fast once a week. Am I going to fast 72 hours forever? The likelihood is not. But the minimum that we've asked people to do is 24 hours a week, once a week. That is certainly doable. Most of us are approaching that anyway when we go to sleep. And you get up in the morning and you don't eat for breakfast and you don't eat lunch sometimes. You don't eat until the afternoon. So let's do it in a structured way. So fasting is a fundamental part of what I do. Sometimes I'll ask people, when they ask me, are you going to fast forever? I say, well, I'm going to brush my teeth forever, as long as I have teeth, by the way. Right? It's not I'm going to do it for today, and then, maybe in about 5 years, I'm going to stop brushing my teeth. No, is it going to be as long as you got teeth, right? We're brushing. And so remember, fasting is a tool. It is not designed to be a stick. So you pick the tool up when you need it, and you put the tool down at other times. That is the mentality I want you to get. Okay, so fasting is an amazing way to get into the space that we want to get into. And so when we're talking about fasting as a tool, anytime you're using a tool, you want to know how the tool works. What are the best practices? When should I use it? What should I do with it? What are the benefits I should have? And so we do our fasting and we do the check-ins to let us know, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on in your body. This is how you prepare. This is how you get through the fast. And of course, this is how you end the fast. So that's why we do what we do right here. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that. So fasting review. So our fasting review. When we talk about fasting, it's important to know that if we're going to be successful, then we have to think about fasting in several different ways, and we have to address each of those. We have to address each of those ways and each of those things that are involved with the fasting if we're going to be successful. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about that. So when I talk about fasting, I talk about 3 different phases of fasting, and they are: how do we prepare for the fast, how do we get through the fast, and then how do we break the fast. Let me make one change here. So I got one of my earpieces is coming apart. So how do we prepare for the fast? That's important because how you prepare for the fast is, just a second here, guys. There we go. Because how we prepare for the fast sets us up for either success in the fast or for failure in the fast. So preparing, very important. And there are several things that we can talk about when we talk about preparing for the fast. What I want to do is I want to spend most of our time talking about the mental and the physical. The mental and the physical. That, as you see, they're listed: physical, mental, and emotional. We're going to spend most of our time talking about the physical and the mental. And why are those important? Those are important because the way that we think about fasting, and we'll start there first. The way we think about fasting has tremendous implications on the fast itself, which is the point I was just making. Fasting is a tool, period. It is not the end all. It is not the be all. It is not the panacea. Fasting is a tool. It's an amazing tool. It is a tremendous tool. It's like, I was going to make a comparison. It was like comparing, walking to a car, right? You can get where you're going to go by walking, but it sure is nice when you got to go, like we traveled 6 hours this past weekend on vacation. We drove for 6 hours. We could have walked, but it would have taken us a long time to get there. So can we get to our destination other ways? Sure. So don't think of fasting as the ultimate end-all be-all. No, it is simply a tool. It is a tool that is tremendous in its ability to give us a result, but it's still a tool. That means that I can decide I'm going to fast, and you can decide that you're not going to fast. You're going to do it a different way. I want you to get that. One of the most challenging things sometimes is or not anymore, is sometimes I used to talk to people about what I'm doing. They say, hey, what are you doing? And I said, so I start telling them, and I'll tell them about fast. And of course, a lot of times when you talk about things that you're doing health-wise, fasting in particular, there's this glaze that goes over people's eyes. And so I would try to, no, fasting is great. Now we go through that conversation about it. I no longer do that. You know why? Because it's kind of like, I have a friend, and he's always learning stuff. Like, I learn stuff, but he's like ultra learning. And he'll send us, text with links and so forth. And he'll say, hey, did you watch that thing? Or did you read that thing? Or did you blah, blah, blah? And sometimes we don't, right? And so he'll say, I think this would be good for you. Well, one of the things that he started doing is he'll send us stuff and he'll leave us alone. Because he's realized that when we're ready, we're coming. When the need is there, we show up. And sometimes I'll call him or text him and say, hey, you remember that thing you were telling me last year? Tell me about it. Can you send me that link again? And he's like, sure. Boom. And so our thought process about fasting plays a part in how we get through the fast. So fasting is a tool. That's the first thing that I want you to get, that fasting is a tool. It's not the end all. It's not the be all. It's an amazing tool. It's a wonderful tool. It's between walking and driving a car, right? So you much rather drive a car. So fasting, and there are other things out there that can get you to the destination. Yes, they can. But fasting has an amazing ability to cover a lot of the things that we do. One of the things I was teaching, or I teach my medical students who are rotating through, is there's this concept of how we think about medication when it comes to diabetes. And there's this idea that we weren't taught in medical school. Now, the concept was around. People knew the pieces, but finally there was a guy out of one of the universities who put it all together, and he sent it out, right? Wrote some articles about it. And so when I think about how to treat patients when we talk about people who are medications, that's the concept I use because it encompasses all the stuff. I don't have to go think about each one separately. It is a model that gives me a complete picture, and that's what fasting does. It gives us a big picture of what's going on in the body. So it's a tool. Number 2, it's voluntary. Pause for effect. It's voluntary. Nobody can force you to fast. Nobody can compel you to fast. If you want to fast, you decide, I'm going to fast. And that's why when you hear me say to our community members, I'm proud of you because you've made a decision, those aren't just words. Because that takes you have to decide that you're going to do this. It's a tool, and it's a decision that you're making. And just like you can decide to get on a fast, you can decide to get off a fast. Right, so it's a thought process that is amazing that you've got to embrace. And then number 3, fasting is a way of hitting many of the things in our metabolism that are dysfunctional. Our insulin level, our weight, our blood sugar, right? So all the things that we talk about when we talk about metabolic disease, fasting directly affects a lot of them. And so, yes, I can find ways of addressing many of the things that go on in my body, but I would now be hitting several things that I'd have to do, whereas fasting puts them together in one package. Okay? Now, so that's the mental. So I want you to, that's the stage. There are all kinds of other things we can talk about, but that's the stage that I want you to be in when you're thinking about fasting. Number 2, the physical. Physical. And this one can be, I use the word interesting, right? This one can be interesting. Why is it interesting? It's interesting because when we think about physical, we only think about, our physical body. But the physical involves not just the physical body, but it involves what we put in the body and what we do with the body. So when we talk about physical, we're talking about food we put in the body. We talk about physical, we talk about activity in the body. When we talk about physical, we talk about rest in the body, right? See how all of those are physical things. So let's walk through those 3. Number 1, the food, the things we eat, balanced bites. Balanced bites is the concept that I want you to get. Balanced bites. Balanced bites is not a diet plan. Balanced bites is not a list of do's and don'ts. Balanced bites is not a box that you're put in. Balanced bites is a way of thinking about food. It is a paradigm. It is a platform. It is a concept that allows you to not to have to make decisions every time you look at and think about food. When you show up at the table, there are all kinds of things on the table. Balanced Bite says, I'm going to look at the whole food things first. That doesn't mean I can't eat the stuff down there that were processed, but balanced diets, whole foods first. It says no added sugar. That doesn't mean I can't eat something down there that has sugar, but we're not going to eat things generally that have added sugar to it. It says minimize processing. Back to whole foods. If it's processed, I'm going to put that on the list below something that's not processed. That's why an apple would be whole foods. An apple, no added sugar. Apple, not processed. Versus apple juice. Yeah. So whole foods first. Minimize processing. No added sugar. Lean protein. Healthy snacks. We'll talk about that when you see what I'm going to eat. Starchy and non-starchy vegetables, leaning more towards the non-starchy. Tasty and flavorful, please, for goodness sakes, make it taste good, please. Thank you. Make it taste good so that we want to eat it again. And portion controlled. So when people eat, a lot of times it's not that they're eating too much, eating the wrong thing, is that they're eating too much of the thing. So balanced bites. So when we're thinking about the food that we're eating, things we're putting in, this is where we want to be. Number 2, the physical. When we talk about physical, we're talking about moving, our MOVE campaign, metabolic optimization via exercise. That's walking, that's strength training, that's stretching, whatever it is, physical activity. Because that helps the muscles. Do you know that muscles don't require, generally, insulin to suck sugar up? When you're exercising, you enhance the ability of your muscles to suck sugar in without needing insulin. And we know that insulin is the culprit in metabolic disease. So if I don't have to use as much insulin because my muscles are now doing the job for me, then the amount of insulin that I have to have in my body goes down. Whether I'm taking medication that is insulin or medication that's causing my body to produce insulin, the amount that I need goes down during that time. Physically. And it doesn't matter. Number 3. It doesn't matter whether you are in the gym 100 hours a week or you're eating like a bird. It doesn't matter whether you thought about processing and thought about the mental aspect, and you've got all that in mind. If you are not resting, you are putting yourself and your metabolism in jeopardy. Yep, I said it. Rest is fundamental to everything that we do. When we don't rest, the things that happen hormonally in the fast, they can become problematic. You feel the shifts in energy and energy sources more profoundly. You're fatigued. You can't barely get through the day. Rest, rest, rest. So sleep, and sometimes just coming aside and just mentally say, I just gotta get away. At the end of our strength, strategy, and mindset series that we're doing, whenever I end the show, at the end of the show, we do a grounding exercise. That would be a great one, and great one for you to go and just maybe do a clip out of that and keep that with you. Practice it. Mentally and physically preparing for the fast is tremendously important. Okay? So that's how we get ready. Now, what's going on when we're talking about the fast itself and what's going on in the fast? What's going on in our bodies? And this is important. Let me back up for a minute, and I just want to make a point about one thing in the physical, because we talked about what we put into the body, and this is a great place for us to talk about this. So what we're putting into the body, not just the food, right? Balanced bites, that idea, but hydration. Hydration, very, very important, because if we're not well hydrated, then that sets us up for other issues. Hydration and electrolytes. Drink plenty of water before the fast begins. Drink water during the fast. Ensure you have adequate intake of electrolytes, right? So all that is very important in the fast, because how we do that, getting into the fast and through the fast, can have significant implications for the fast itself. Okay, so I just want to make that point that that is ultra important. And so let's go ahead now. Let's jump into talking about the fast itself. All right. So what's going on in the fast, and what do we need to know? All that I need to know there. So when we talk about fasting, we break fasting up into several components, right? So we can talk about how we do the first 24 hours, then the next 24 hours, and so forth. We're going to spend time going through the first 24 hours in depth, and then we may add a couple of other times during that. So the first thing to understand, and this one will get people sometimes, is that those first 6 hours after you finish eating is technically not fasting. Well, it's not technically, it's not fasting. It's not considered fasting. It is the postprandial period. It is the time where all the food that you just ate is being absorbed, being broken down, being digested, being shuttled away to different parts of the body. That's the postprandial time. Your energy levels are high, blood sugar is high, insulin is high, because think about a factory that just got or you're at a warehouse and we just got delivery of supplies today. Supplies come in every Wednesday. And today's Wednesday, and all the stuff, right? We're restocking the shelves. We've got boxes everywhere. Trucks are coming in and out. We've got a full team that's there, and they are taking things wherever they need to go. Right, that's what's going on when you finish eating. It's called the postprandial period. It is the time when the body is busy taking all the stuff you just brought in, all the food that you just ate, and is shuttling it away to where it needs to go. Called the digestion. That's what's going on in those first 6 hours. So the blood sugars are high, insulin is high, and depending on how you came into the fast, what you ate as you got into the fast, those things can short circuit what we're going to be talking about next. Because ultimately the fasting is designed to put us in a metabolic state where we begin healing. And if this phase takes a long time because of what we ate prior to getting here, then it delays or short circuits or lessens the impact of what we do. So when we eat, if we eat things that have high sugar, lights of high sugar, our blood sugars are going to spike. And we said that the insulin and sugars are high right now. So if my blood sugar is high, my insulin levels are going to be high. It takes a while for the sugar to be broken down. So people will say to me, hey, I haven't eaten in 8 hours and my blood sugar is still high. I was like, yeah. Because you're not fasting. Well, 8 hours. We getting into the fast now. But 6 hours. Right? So if you ate breakfast at 6 o'clock and it's now noon and your blood sugar is high, yeah. I expect that. In fact, I expect it to be higher longer than noon. Because the body still has access, and we'll talk about that. The body still has access to energy and to food. All right, so postprandial period. The next period that we're going to be talking about is the next, when we talk about, let me get back there, 6 to 12 hours. So 6 to 12 hours, and this is called the early fasting state. So the body is now saying, hey, wait a minute. We haven't eaten for a while. It's been 6 hours. It's been whatever number of hours. And so now what are we going to do? So the body's now starting to go and find some of the things that you just shuttled away so that it can use it for energy. Because the blood sugars, if I check your blood sugar, it is actually now starting to go down. Starting to go down. It has not gone down. It's starting to go down. In fact, if you see my numbers as we've been fasting, I can go 24 hours or sometimes 36 hours. My blood sugar is 70. 70 is normal. And that's not eating anything for 36 hours. So not eating anything for 12 hours should not surprise you if your blood sugar is still high, particularly if if you're used to blood sugars being very high. All of that has to go away before the body can deal with other things. Okay, so the early fasting stage, that's the 6 to 12 hour period. And then when we talk about the 12 to 18 hour period, this is called, we're transitioning to fat. Transitioning to using fat. Fat's there, and so our sugar levels are now going down. The body's beginning to use up the glycogen that's in our liver, and now it's starting to say, oh, okay, I need to get some stuff from some other places. This is a period where people may feel a dip in their energy. So if you're not well rested, when you get to this space, and it's dipping and it's transitioning, you're like, oh my goodness, I feel that. You feel that a lot more because we're not rested. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be rested as we get into fasting. And then moving further from our 12 to 18 to our 18 to 24 hours, so ketosis is here now. So glycogen stores are nearing depletion. And this says, the body says, okay, now I for real need to get a source of energy. And now it begins going to our fat cells and begins breaking our fat cells down. And that process allows the blood sugar, or allows the ketones to come out, because once we start burning fat, then ketones will show up. And the ketones don't show up in earnest if there is insulin in the body. Okay, and so as people are getting into this space, a lot of people talk about, hey, my energy is good, my mental clarity is improved, and that right now is what we call fat adaptation. And this is the 24 to 30 hour period, where we've got significant increase in ketones. And remember, ketones are good for the brain. We got the beta hydroxybutyrate. In this space now, we've got the mTOR that we talked about in one of our shows just yesterday or last night. We've got the brain-derived natriuretic factor, which is like miracle grow for the brain. Our energy levels are constant now, so we're not using the fluctuating blood sugars. And we've got a stable source of energy coming in from those ketones, and we're making these connections in our mind and in our body. The healing is happening. Autophagy is in full force. It started earlier, but now it's going. I should say it's full force. It's revving up. So that's what's happening during the fast. That's what's happening in our body. The body's changing. And preparing for the fast, getting to this point now, gives us those tremendous benefits. So now, as we talk about fasting, we talk about how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast successfully, and then how to break the fast. And we talk about how to break the fast. This is ultimately important, because how we break the fast has an impact on how successful the fast is. Because when we break the fast, we don't want to undo all the things that we did in the fast. So here's some tips. Number one, when you're coming out of the fast, make sure you're monitoring, please. If you're not diabetic, if you don't have a glucose monitor, go out and get one. There's some cheap ones on the market. Monitor your blood sugars. And the reason for monitoring this is not just for food, but so you can see how other things will affect your body. Sleep, exercise, stress. We want to know. And of course, food. Right? So monitor. You saw I monitor with a continuous glucose monitor. I've got some finger stick monitors I have. I've got a ketone monitor. All that helps. Now, if I weren't doing the show, I wouldn't do all of those. I would get a monitor and monitor certain parameters. Two of the most important ones are blood sugar and ketones. So how are you going to monitor that? Whether you get a continuous monitor or a finger stick, great. Either one, but also make sure that you're monitoring ketones. And that's very important as you know, in our community. And then portion control is important. We mentioned this earlier because it's not often that people are eating the wrong things, but they're eating too much of whatever the thing is. It's like me, right? I got to put my hands up because sometimes I'm like, man, this is healthy, so I'm going to eat more of that. Isn't it interesting how the brain works? And then eat slowly. It takes about 20 minutes for the signal to get from your stomach to your brain that you're full. And if you're out there and just pounding it down, then you don't give the body a chance to send the signal, and so you end up eating a lot more than you would normally eat. So watch the speed at which you're eating, right? Avoid sugary processed foods. Very important, because that also will have an effect. Whatever you eat coming out of the fast is what you're going to start craving. So if you're eating highly sugary processed foods, insulin's going to spike up right away. Insulin's going to cause a craving. You're going to eat a lot more stuff, and insulin causes weight gain, and all of a sudden, we're looking at it like, man, I fasted, I lost 10 pounds, but look at me, I put back on 7 in the last 3 days. Why? Because we didn't do a good job of coming out of the fast. Avoid highly sugary and processed foods. When you're eating, make sure that you are hydrating. So hydration is important for coming into the fast, is important during the fast, and it is important after the fast. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. Coconut water is great. Regular water is great. Coconut water is great, unsweetened. And of course, herbal teas, right? So they add some good flavors. Make sure you're taking in enough protein. Once again, Balanced Bite says lean protein. Protein helps to slow the GI tract. It helps to keep you satiated longer. It makes something called protein YY, which is great for helping us in the metabolic space in terms of our GI tract and indigestion. It helps us feel full. Yeah. Healthy fats, things like avocados and nuts are great at this. I don't know if you're going to see that here in just a minute. Right, healthy fats. And then broths are very good because they give you some flavor. It's a good way to end the fast, easing back into food, particularly if you've done one of the longer extended fasts. You know, you don't just want to sit down and eat a 12-course meal, if there's such a thing. Right? And some considerations. When you're breaking the fast, choose foods that help maintain stable blood sugars, that will help you get good nutrition, that is good for the GI tract, is gentle on the GI tract. You want to focus on low glycemic index foods. That's foods that are 50, glycemic index of 50 or lower. Lean protein, healthy fats, and of course hydration, and hydration. Did I say hydration? Yes, hydration. And so when we fast, fasting does an amazing job of doing for us the things that we need in terms of our health and our metabolism. That is what we want to do. We want to put fasting in place so that those benefits, we're decreasing our insulin, suppressing our appetite, reducing our sugar, all things that are good along the metabolic space are helpful and beneficial to us. So when we talk about fasting, we want to know, what is the best way to fast? How do we use fast? What should I get in terms of the benefits of fasting? And that's why we fast. That's why we do what we do. And fasting is an amazing way to do that as we play our own game, as we live limitless lives. The Health Action Plan, the blueprint, and fasting is an amazing way to do that for us. All right. So that's our fast, and that's our fasting review. And you ready? Are you ready? Here we go. So let's take a look at my plate. So this is what I'm eating. Let's get back this view. So let's walk through Balanced Bites. So Balanced Bites says whole foods. Right, so everything here is whole food except for the dressing. That's a combination, and you guys know there's some dressing that I like. There's a place here that makes some. So I just made a combination of those. Some ranch dressing. There's horseradish in there. There's some Caesar, all mixed up together. So whole foods, and of course the cheese would not be whole either. It's not a whole food. No added sugar. The only thing here that would have added sugar would be probably the dressing. I'm trying to think what else has sugar. The dressing would have some sugar in it. Processing. Once again, the dressing and the cheese would be processed. Lean protein. So I've got some jerk chicken here. This is jerk chicken that I made, and we talked about that earlier. Lean protein, healthy fats. I've got some avocado, and there are some sunflower seeds in here somewhere, and there's some garbanzo beans. Right, so chickpeas. So we got some of that there. Lean protein, healthy fats, starchy and non-starchy vegetables. So in here, I've got lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, banana peppers. I've got some in there. There's a banana pepper right there. All right. So lean protein, not a lot of non-starchy vegetables in this plate. Portion size. So this is an appropriate portion size. And tasty and flavorful. And I've already tasted the chicken, so I know it is tasty. And then all the other stuff on here I like, right? So that's our Balanced Bites. And so this is a typical meal that I would eat. As a matter of fact, if you think about what I eat to get into the fast, the last meal, and what I eat coming out of the fast, they all fall into what did we just say? They all fall into the Balanced Bites idea. So I don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat to start the fast, or I'm going to eat to end the fast. I just think, okay, let me get a Balanced Bites meal. And when I do that, it fulfills all those criteria. Okay? And so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a bite out of this. Let's see. Let's do this view. All right. Well, actually, let's go back here. Go back here. And, let's take a look at my blood sugar first. So here it is. Blood sugar is 74. And then let's go ahead and let's get a bite of this. Actually, I want to get some of this chicken. Oh yeah, y'all. This is good. When we have our Limitless Living hangout, meetup, remind me, I'll make some chicken for you guys. So why do I eat this? Why do I start with a salad? I start with a salad because the salad gives me fiber, it gives me bulk. It gives me fiber, it gives me bulk. I just said that it takes about 20 minutes for the signal to get to the brain. So when I start with a salad, the salad gives me stretch, which stimulates the message to my brain that, hey, I'm full. So if I start with a candy bar, I get all those calories, no signal goes because there's no stretch, right? Because the salad has fiber, it will blunt any absorption. Well, not any. It will blunt the absorption of carbs. And there are carbs on this plate. In fact, there are people who are not metabolically adapted. If they eat the stuff that's on this plate, the blood sugar goes to 300, 200. And that's a concept to, maybe it's a great place for us to talk about that. When your body becomes metabolically better, you'll be able to eat things then that don't have an effect on your blood sugar like it used to when the body was not metabolically healthy. I want you to hear what I'm saying. So the same thing that right now causes blood sugar to spike up to 300, when your body heals, you'll be able to eat that and it won't go to 300. Now, it may not stay normal at 100. Maybe it goes to 120, 130. But it doesn't go to 300 because the body is now able to handle it because it's healed. That concept is so amazing. So as I started saying, there are people who would eat this salad and have blood sugar spike up into 200s because they're not metabolically healthy. And our goal is to reverse that. Our goal is to improve that. That's one of the things that we're doing. That's one of the reasons we do what we're doing. Because there's no reason that this plate should cause those blood sugars. Yeah. But when our bodies are not functionally where they need to be, yeah, all of a sudden, you look at a grape. Or you look at the garbanzo beans and the blood sugar skyrockets. That is so good, y'all. So good. I'm going to finish eating that here in just a minute. But let's get back here and let's talk to some of our community members. Let's see. Yeah, so if you've been fasting with us, go ahead and drop yes in the chat, in the comments. Yeah, put that in. I know several of you out there are fasting with us, have fasted this week. Everything that we do in our community, everything I teach, is based on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcasts. All those things are designed to help us understand how the body works, designed to help us have a different perspective. Many of us have been at this. We've been on that hamster wheel. We've been trying this and trying that. And some of us have thrown our hands up and said, you know what, it is what it is. And we've basically accepted that this is where we are. I hear people say all the time, well, my daddy had a heart attack. My grandfather had a heart attack. It's just in my family. It's like, it's inevitable. It is not inevitable. Let me say that. There can be things you do to mitigate it. And so the education is designed to give you that information, give you the knowledge, give you the know-how. So we educate, we empower. The empowerment is the tools. Those are the tools that we talk about. Fasting is a tool. The health action plan is a tool. Our balanced bites is a tool. Our heat model is a tool. A cope model. All the things that we do, that we talk about, right, are designed to give you a space, give you a tool that you can use. Our 100-day walk to consistency and health. Our strength, strategy, and mindset. All tools that you get to just come in and you plug in and you get to join the process of improving your health. You don't have to go redesign, reinvent the wheel. Plug in and get involved. And then we empower. We empower this amazing community that you are part of. The people who you see here that are having benefit, right? Some folks that are not on right now who are usually in the community talking about the benefits they're having, how they're doing, the success that they're seeing, even some of the challenges that they're having. That's part of community. We don't just want to hear, hey, this is great. We want to know, hey, because it may not be great for me. I'm having some challenges. I need to know what's going on. I need to know there's some people who are like me who are having those challenges as well. Hands up. There I am. Right here. I was telling our medical student actually yesterday, I was talking to one of my medical students and I was telling them, when people see me and I'm talking, the assumption is usually, oh man, everything is great. He's got it all together. Until those Cadburys show up in my cart. Because it is a daily thing. It is where we are. It is the journey. I get excited about the journey. I get excited about the journey because for so long, I thought the journey was shameful. Come on, come on, come on. I didn't share my journey with anybody. I didn't share the challenges with anybody. But community is so important because community allows you to lean on them. Community sometimes pulls you along in the direction you need to go. Sometimes community pushes you or carries you in that direction. So I'm excited about community. So we educate, we empower, we encourage. So when you come to the show, tell us your story. Tell us what successes you're having. Share your challenges with us. Ask your questions right here. Because the question you're asking, the challenge that you're having, may be the exact answer that somebody else needs. And then, of course, we educate, we empower, we encourage. Limitless Living says that when I get benefits, I can't just keep that to myself. I've got to improve the community around me and the larger community. So be a voice in your space, at your church, on your job, in your neighborhood, in your family, that says, no, we can be different. We don't have to keep going like this. We can make a change. We don't have to go down the same path. Be that voice for the folks around you. And I am always excited when I get to be with you because I get the benefit of walking along with you, and you guys continue to inform me and help me as I grow as well. If you're tired of being on that hamster wheel, if you're tired of the start and stop and not having the success, get to our website. You scroll down the page, past the video that I have that welcomes you, and past the when you download the PDF for our Start Here playlist. And there is a button that says get more information or learn more about our accelerator program. Join us in the accelerator program so that we can all support each other, and we can install this as a permanent default system that takes us to our goal. Remember what our goal is? Long, healthy life. Hey, we'll be back as we continue the rest of this week. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central, we'll have video from the vault. And then Sunday morning, This Week in Review at 6 a.m. Central. For our community members, you'll have your shout out that shows up in the community this week as well as we get into the new week. Join us for our Strength, Strategy, and Mindset as we continue our Bridge to Mastery mini-series within that series as we get ready to launch the next 100 days of our Move campaign. Join us for that, and then we'll be right back here for Dwain Woode MD Live on Monday as we continue talking about how do we finish strong. It's great to start, but how do we get to the end? How do we finish strong? How do we not get tired? How do we keep going in our current space? Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Now go live a limitless life. We'll see you later. Have a great weekend, everybody.